Man, if only we knew exactly what we were doing with this whole Iben Fahd thing. There's so many vessels, so many everything. I don't know what to choose. Stick around. Let's see if we can't figure that out together. All right, so like I said, I don't really know how the easiest way to put this. This Iben Fahd's Legacy of Horadrim with all the vessels, this gets a little interesting when it comes to Diablo Immortal. And now that we are a little over a month into the game, I feel like it's time that we start kind of talking about this and figuring out what's going to be the best route for you. You will notice that up at the top hand corner here, I've saved almost 1,000 of each and every one. I have been upgrading these with a certain purpose in mind, but I need you to understand when I explain this purpose to you that yours may be slightly different than mine, and you may have slightly different goals than me because my damage dealing as a demon hunter is going to vary. Now, something to also consider in this is the character class change. If you have changed your character and you've been focusing on one stat over another, say you go from a demon hunter to I don't know, like a necro, where your damage ability has changed a little bit. This may not pan out as well for you as it would in the reverse situation, correct? So you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on kind of keeping in the back of your mind exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve for your character and what stats that you feel are really going to be the most important. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of these stats that we have here. So if you notice, we have the Iben Fahd tenacity. We have what is this one? Called Decence Compassion, which is armor pen and armor. So we have damage, life, armor pen. We also have this one here that is, which is Jared's Kane's Vision, which is potency and resistance. And that's going to be it as far as the Sapphires go. Okay, so out of the two, the really important ones for a Demon Hunter are going to be the Iben Fahd Tenacity, as well as the Compassion. We'll call it Compassion before I butcher the name again. So what do we know about these two? What do they do for us, and what's going to be the most beneficial is the kind of the thought process here. So we know that armor pen is crit damage. We know that armor is block damage mitigation as well as overall damage mitigation a little bit. So we know armor and armor pen, they synergize, pretty well. You do get a fair amount for a upgrade. The next level is plus 99. So that would be a little bit more, right? So that'd give us a little boost in armor and armor pen. Now, if we go over here and we look at the tenacity, the damage and life. Now, these are the two stats that really synergize the best with a demon hunter because you have life and damage, which, life allows you to survive. Damage allows you to actually compound and do more damage. It's no different than any other game that you've ever played. I'm sure if you're familiar with any gacha games, you have to have a good amount of damage that you deal to allow crit damage to get the full benefit, so to speak. So the higher your damage, the higher your crit damage gets calculated. It's not a linear move. When you see a crit rate or a crit damage, so to speak, of like 46%, that does not mean that it's exactly 46% of the difference of your overall damage. That's usually not how most games do the calculation. It's usually a couple other numbers to get plugged into there with a little bit of division and then multiplicative. And the more damage you get is what ends up being and translating into more crit damage that you get, vice versa. So typically you want to find a good happy medium. Currently in Diablo Immortal, we don't know that happy medium. We don't know if damage is the 100% the way you have to go to scale your crit damage, or if you have to go with like armor pen in this case to get the crit damage flat out. Now, one thing that we can note here is this is at rank 10. This one's at rank 15. Notice at rank 15, if I take this up to 16, I only get plus 4, I believe. Yeah, I think this goes up by 4. And if we go up on this one, we go up by plus 9, which is a little bit more exponentially as far as stats go. Now, what does that do for us in the percentage stats? That's where it does vary a little bit. So I don't know. I don't believe that plus 4 is going to be an additional 9%, so to speak, or not equal to the 9 over here. But it might. I think overall it just depends on how the math is calculated. Unfortunately, I do not know this. But what I do know is that in 9 out of 10 cases, you're going to want to go with tenacity first to get the damage and life because both of those synergize super, super well. And depending on your build, whether you're a damage dealer that needs physical damage or strength, or a damage dealer that really needs like potency, that's what's going to change on which one you're going to use here, whether you're going to use Kane's Vision or if you're going to use the Compassion vessel, we'll call it. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upgrade my tenacity here. These do go up to 50, so let me go ahead and upgrade this one once. We got that upgrade done here. That gave me my +4, my +40. We'll take that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll over here to the Compassion. I'm going to go ahead and grab that one and give me my +9 on the armor and armor pen. And then that's going to pretty much use up all these until I get another little bit. And I'll probably take this one up to 15 next, and then I'll probably go in intervals to 15. I'm definitely going to do Kane's Vision last when it comes to the Sapphire vessel stones. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is going to be the Garnets. Now, Garnets, those synergize with, what skills is it? There we go. Potency, once again, not going to be something that a Demon Hunter really needs. Damage, we just talked about damage and how important that could be. And armor pen. So once again, we have two very critical stats and then a not so critical stat. We have 1600. Obviously, I've been ranking up my like overall damage a lot, as much as I can, and crit damage could use a little bit of work. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this one up to 10, just because I do feel like, I don't know, maybe call it superstition. Ranking these up into kind of intervals is helping, because if you notice that when I did my testing on my armor pen video, I was able to take off my supplemental gems, and it made a difference as far as what it actually got me, right? Because I was already at the base. So when I say that, that means literally when you go over here to the stats, right? And we go to armor pen, you'll see that this is 449 higher than you're expected. I'm really managing this pretty well, not only from gear pieces, so to speak, but I'm also managing that pretty well because of the shrine and the Iben Fahd. So that's definitely one of the things that I found kind of beneficial about actually utilizing this whole system, is that I'm able to manage this a little bit better using the Legacy of Horadrim than I am by relying on different and smaller gems, or even on the Paragon tree, which is going to be a later video where we talk about what makes the most sense as far as what nodes to take in the Paragon tree, because not every single node on the Paragon tree gives you the same exact result or outcome, so to speak, as far as beneficial stats, right? So in this case, we've got this at 15. We have precision at 15 here. Once again, I'm not going to go for potency. It's absolutely useless on my build. I will probably go, let's see, we have 1,000 something. Let's go ahead and let's take this one up one more time to 16, like we did on the other side. Give us a little bit more damage. That'll automatically give us some more stuff. Let's go ahead and go to armor pen, get that one up to 11. We'll take this one up to 15 next. All right, and there we go. Now that gives me a significant increase in my armor pen, actually, which is very, very helpful when I do crit damage, or when I do crit. Later on, I would say probably within the next month, we'll probably do another video where we talk about crit rate, because it is one of those stats where my video where I talk about armor pen and armor penetrate, or an armor being kind of like whatever, like half in one and half in the other hand, is because at the very beginning right now, we aren't getting enough crit rate to make a difference. However, as we move forward in the game, our armor penetration will probably become super impactful and imperative, because we'll be able to easily hit those high 70s, 80% crit rates, which then allows us to do a lot more damage. So that is something to keep in mind. Just right now, unfortunately, it's pretty useless unless you're running a Satyr's banner or running with a Barbarian. All right, so the last one we're going to talk about is going to be these barrels. Now, the barrels, these are pretty much your armor and your life ones. Now, once again, we have resistance, beneficial, armor, beneficial, and life. So we have three stats that are definitely a priority for any character, right? I feel like life is probably one of the better prioritized stats to keep in mind, mainly because without the life, you become too squishy and you fall over. Especially as a demon hunter, life is super, super important for me. Now, resistance is really, really high, or really, really helpful as well, but that's really only super helpful in like PvP. And unfortunately, you have to have such a high resistance in PvP for that to be work correctly, that it's almost not worth it to focus on getting that from your Horadrim first, unless you are someone who is super PvP driven. I myself am not Battlegrounds driven at all. So getting this resistance is not going to be the most impactful thing on my account, because I'm not doing a whole lot of PvP type stuff, so I'm not getting CC'd a lot. Now, if I was getting CC'd a lot by the dungeons or by open world farming, then yeah, I would probably prioritize going resistance here. Or if I was someone who Battlegrounds was my bread and butter, resistance is going to be so important. It's not even funny, because it's that's actually going to make it easier to do those Battlegrounds fight, because CC, or control effect, if you don't know what that means, is definitely one of the most important things in the game. I'm going to ignore resistance, though. I don't really need it. So that leaves me with armor and life. Once again, we have this one at 10. This one's almost at 15. Let me go ahead and take this up to 15. I'll take that extra 80 life. It's very, very helpful. Honestly, looking at my stats here, I want to see what my armor is. Once again, when I go back over to here, I just want to see about where I'm sitting, because like I said, this is one of those nice tools that allows you to kind of utilize what you have at your disposal. So notice that I have an armor node here that's plus 56. And it's saying that I'm currently 429 higher, so that's good. So it means I'm still standing really, really, really good as far as my armor goes. And my armor pin, I mean, that's a little higher. I could probably take my armor up just a little bit to meet that armor pin. But the other thing to note is just the overall life is just such a huge factor in any character. So the more life you can get, the better. So I'm actually going to prioritize getting the life over the armor. And hopefully this isn't a mistake later on. I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prioritize getting this one up. I'm going to upgrade this one a couple of times, because without the life, obviously I just won't live as long, which then eliminates some of the fun that you have in the game. All right, so let's go ahead and grab that. Now we have only 400 left, and the next node is going to cost me 600. Once again, I am nowhere near max, because like I said, these go all the way up to rank 50. This did kind of cover every node on the tree here. And like I said, it is going to be circumstantial. It's going to be what you feel is the best for you and your build. But I definitely would prioritize the tenacity. Or when you're talking about the Sapphires, I would also definitely prioritize getting the authority for the Garnets. And then when it comes to the Beryls, I think it's just kind of a no-brainer that you want to go with the life node. I think those are going to be the 3 highest priorities. I think only second to probably the armor penetration and armor one, as well as just straight up armor pen, which is going to be over here for the Barnets. And even though armor is an option here with the Beryls, I don't think that's ever going to be a major priority, but I am trying to keep all these at least around level 10-ish, just so that way they help me keep and maintain that levelness that I really need on my character, that I don't have to worry so much about what normal gems I am using with my character, and I don't have to worry about the substats on my gear as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking at your Legacy of Horadrim, is just take a little stock into what your character actually has, and if you can actually utilize those stats to get you above whatever this recommended is, or if it gets you in a level playing field. So that way you can really have pretty much free flexibility to change these socketed gems as much as you possibly want without it negatively impacting you. Because like I showed you in the armor pen video, when you lose too much armor pen, then allows them an extra 5% chance to block the damage that you do. So you actually help them beneficially by a lot if you don't have the minimum armor pen required. So definitely keep that in mind. Utilize those stats, utilize this knowledge to really make yourself do the most damage and be the best character that you could possibly be, right? Hopefully this helped you. Hopefully you guys, that made a little bit more sense to you as far as what you should really be focusing on when it comes to this Legacy of Horadrim. And yeah, can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.